Okay, so we'll start the next session. Today's fifth day, and yeah, so we'll just quickly go through what are all the things we saw in the previous day before we start with the next day. So obviously, in the first two chapters, we saw about different types of what do we call the fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and all these things, and why we have the meta analysis. And the second chapter we saw about the why we come into trading, what are all the things which lure us, basically what are all the things which are attracting us. And we saw about the what is it called, creative freedom which we get, and also because of that we come inside, and with that creative freedom we get also the unlimited potential to reward, also has an unlimited potential to risk. And the author says what are all the dangers which we have because of the creative freedom, right? So we saw about the four things, four problems. One is the safeguards which we have in our real life we won't have in the what is it called, market. Though, so we saw why we don't create rules, because we want to break the rules. That's why we can came into trading. The next one is we don't want to take responsibility, so we listen to somebody else. And we are addicted to random rewards. And in the real world, we actually control, manipulate the environment, but market does not care. The third chapter beginning, we saw about how what is meant by taking responsibility, and what are all the things we have to, you know, shape our mental environment for consistent results, right? So, and the excellent traders, he says about what are all the attitudes they develop for two things. One is the negative effects. Once you win, you get an euphoria. You go to an euphoric state and you become overconfident if you are continuously winning. So how you handle that? And the author also says about what are all the state, what how we get into the zone, and what are all the things you will do. It is not it doesn't matter only if you go to the zone. How will you handle uh, once you go into the zone, right? So that you are consistently winning. Author also says that you might be making continuous winning, but after some point of time, you will lose. And what will happen after that? So how will you react? So now, if you react in a blame mode, you actually have not accepted the risk. So these are all the things which we saw. If we blame the market, so basically this chapter is about taking responsibility, right? So author is trying to tell about how you take responsible when you are in the zone and when you react to a loss. So it is these are all the things which we saw. And we can go ahead with we can watch the previous video, and we put an end here, right? So because, and finally the author says that once you encounter a loss, right, so far you might be winning, and once you encounter a loss, now we have two things. We just don't want to win, right? We don't want to lose also. It's not like we just want to win. Now we have a new emotion called fear, right? So we don't want to lose. So every trade we are like, what is happening? We are trying to avoid that pain. Okay. So with this, we saw that Now we'll start with this particular thing: winners, losers, boomers, and busters. So we ended till this for the last chapter. So we'll continue with this. Winners, losers, boomers, and busters. It takes some time before most traders either throw in the towel or find out the true source of their success. In the meantime, some traders manage to get enough right about trading to enter into what is commonly referred to as the boom and bust cycle. Contrary to what some of you may have inferred from the example of the novice trader, not everyone has an inherently negative attitude and is therefore doomed to lose consistently. Yes, it is true that some traders do consistently lose, often until they lose everything or quit trading because they cannot tolerate any more emotional pain. However, there are also many traders who are tenacious students of the market and have a sufficiently winning attitude going into trading so that in spite of the many difficulties, they eventually learn how to make money. But, and I want to emphasize this, they learn how to make money only on a limited basis. They have not yet learned how to counteract the negative effects of euphoria or how to compensate for the potential for self-sabotage. So the author says here about, some people have will try for some time and then finally they throw the towel, right? Basically, they give up. It's more likely the boom and bust cycle. And basically, after some point, they realize that, it is not my cup of tea and we give up trading. But the author also says that not all are like that. Some novice traders, they who are, who are very, very tenacious. They keep on having the winning attitude, and they go and they learn how to make money in the market. And not only that, but this could be the thing. But what happens is in that process, if they consistently keep making money, you will get euphoric, right? You will be like, oh my god, I'm consistently and I'm consistently winning, so I'm good, I'm great. So you'll feel that sense of overconfidence. So the author is telling that some students, while they give up the trading, some students will actually not give up. They will feel overconfident, and they wouldn't have learned how to handle that, right? Basically, once you become overconfident, then you will end up in a, there is a potential for self-sabotage. So euphoria and self-sabotage are two powerful psychological forces that will have an extremely negative effect on your bottom line. But they are not forces you have to concern yourself with until you start winning or start winning on a consistent basis, and that is a big problem. When you're winning, you are least likely concern yourself with anything that might be a potential problem, especially something that feels good as euphoria. One of the primary characteristics of euphoria is that it creates a sense of supreme confidence where the possibility of anything going wrong is virtually inconceivable. Conversely, errors that result from self-sabotage have their root in any number of conflicts that traders have about deserving the money or deserving to win. So in this paragraph, the author says about euphoria and the self-sabotage. Author is also telling that until you are consistently winning this, you won't even get this feeling because obviously you are consistently losing. So it won't be a big problem, right? Because you will be always in a state of, sadness and all these things. But if we are consistently winning, then we will not even think about all these things because we feel good, right? And because we are consistently winning, it will give us a supreme confidence, and we will not even think that anything could go wrong. Okay, and conversely, errors that result from self-sabotage have their root in any number of conflicts that traders have about deserving the money or deserving to win. Okay, so the opposite of this, basically, the converse of this, basically, when you when you do self-sabotage, you have some errors, right? You make some errors, but the root of those errors have their root, where they have their root, number of conflicts that traders have about deserving the money or deserving to win. Okay, so this line I'm a little bit not clear, but we'll go to the next line. It's when you are winning that you are more susceptible to making a mistake. Over trading, putting on too large a position, violating your rules, or generally operating as if no prudent boundaries on your behavior are necessary. So this line is very profound. I have personally experienced. So when you keep winning and you immediately start over trading because hey, I'm winning, let me do. Or when I'm winning, I will take a large position. I know that I will win. And when I'm winning, I'll violate my rules. Let me enter wherever I want, right? And when I'm winning, basically you operate as if no prudent boundaries are there, are necessary, because hey, I'm winning. You even go to the extreme of thinking you are the market. However, the market rarely agrees, and when it disagrees, you will get hurt. The loss and the emotional pain are usually significant. You will experience a boom followed by an inevitable bust. So this is the title of this. Basically, winners, losers, the boomers and the busters. So when you are winning, we try to tend to violate all the things, all the rules. We'll tend to enter wherever we want. We tend to overtrade. We tend to put a large position. So, and we think that we will always win, but that is when market will bust your capital. If I were to classify traders based on the kind of results they achieve, I would put them into three broad categories. The smallest group, probably fewer than 10% of the active traders, are the consistent winners. They have a steadily rising equity curve with relatively minor drawdowns. The drawdowns they do experience are the type of normal losses that any trading methodology or system incurs. Not only have they learned how to make money, but they are no longer susceptible to the psychological forces that cause the boom and bust cycle. So the author first says there are three types of the people. The first people he's telling the smallest group, their graph will be slowly increasing from the bottom to the top. Okay, and they might have some drawdowns, but those are all the typical thing which you get in any trading methodology, and they not only know how to make money, but they know how to make money from the market by entering at the right time and all these things, but they are also not susceptible. Basically, once you start making money, you will violate your rules. They don't do all those things, which causes the boom and bust cycle. The next group, which consists of between 30 and 40% of the active traders, are consistent losers. Their equity curves are mirror images of the consistent winners curves, but in the opposite direction. Many losing trades with an occasional winner. Regardless of how long they have been trading, there is much about it that they have not learned. They either have illusions about the nature of trading or are addicted to it in ways that make it virtually impossible for them to be winners. So this is the second group, which he makes it 30 to 40%. They are like opposite of this winners. They are consistently losing, and even though they might be trading for some long time, they will keep losing, and occasionally they might have some winning. And they are either addicted and they will have some illusions about the trading, and because of all these things, they will keep losing. And the largest group, that is the remaining 40 to 50%, are the active traders who are the boom and busters. They have learned how to make money, but they have not learned there is a whole body of trading skills that have to be mastered in order to keep the money they make. As a result, their equity curve typically looks like roller coaster rides, with a nice steady ascent into a steep drop off, then another nice steady ascent into another steep drop off. The roller coaster cycle continues on and on. I have worked with many experienced traders who have put together incredible winning streaks, sometimes going months without losing a day. Having 15 or 20 winning trades in a row is not unusual for them, but for the boom and busters, these streaks always end the same way, in huge losses that are the result of their either euphoria or self-sabotage. So the author says that the remaining 40 to 50% are the boom and busters. They success, they make good trades and then lose everything. then again they consistently keep winning, and then again they lose everything. So this is like a roller coaster, up and down their curve will be. It's not consistently going up. And the author says that he has worked with many people who are consistently successful, but for the boom and busters, he says that they always end up in huge losses because of euphoria or self-sabotage. If the losses are the result of euphoria, it really does not matter what form the streak takes. A number of wins in a row, a steady rising equity curve, or even one winning trade. Everyone seems to have a different threshold for when overconfidence or euphoria starts to take hold of the thinking process. However, the moment euphoria takes hold, the trader is in deep trouble. Okay. So author says that it is like, you might get euphoric, and it is not like, some people will get after 10 successful trade, a month of successful trade. But some people will be like, one day they make huge winning trade. The next day itself, they will become euphoric. Okay. Now, in that state of overconfidence or euphoria, you cannot perceive any risk because euphoria makes you believe that absolutely nothing can go wrong. If nothing can go wrong, there is no need for rules or boundaries to govern your behavior. So, putting on a larger than usual position is not only appealing, it is compelling. So, what happens is once you become overconfident or euphoria, you will think that nothing can go wrong. And what will happen? We'll think that we don't need any boundaries. And because of that, we will try to take some trades which are larger than our usual position. Okay, not only we will tell that it is enticing, we will think it is compelling. Okay. However, as soon as put on larger than usual position, you are in danger. The larger the position, the greater the financial impact small fluctuations in price will have on your equity. Combine the larger than normal impact of a move against your position with a resolute belief that the market will do exactly as you expect, and you have a situation in which one tick in the opposite direction of your trade can cause you to go into a state of mind freeze and become immobilized. And what happens is, then now we have taken a larger position. If it goes in our direction, it's good. Actually, it is not good. It is now going to put us into deeper trouble. That's what the author is telling. But even if it does not go good in our direction, we will immediately, what will happen? It goes against our direction. We will go into a state of mind freeze, and we will not be able to do anything. It's not like we will exit and all. We will simply be watching the money poof going vanishing in our own eyes, before our own eyes, right? So that is what author is telling, and you go into a mind free state. It's not like flight or fright. The third thing comes into picture, that is the freeze mode in our amygdala. So when you finally do pull yourself out of it, you'll be dazed, disillusioned, and betrayed, and you'll wonder how something like that could have happened. In fact, you are betrayed by your own emotions. However, if you are not aware or don't understand the underlying dynamics I just described, you will have no other choice but to blame the market. If you believe the market did this to you, then you will feel compelled to learn more about the market in order to protect yourself. The more you learn, the more confident you will naturally become in your ability to win. As your confidence grows, the more likely at some point you will cross the threshold into euphoria and start the cycle all over again. So this is the problem which the author is telling, right? The author is telling that you have a new problem. That is when you are successful and you become euphoric, right? Now, what will happen if you become euphoric? We'll take larger than usual positions, or we will think that we can handle. But what happens is, because if you take like more quantities, a small impact in price will have huge impact in our equity. And if that happens and you take the normal impact, so for example, Bank Nifty fluctuates here and there by 20, 10 points, 5 points. This, if you take a larger than position and the normal thing which you see, then it will have a huge impact, right? So then what will happen? We'll go into a mind freeze mode. We'll not be exiting because we think it is normal, but it is not normal. We don't know what to do. And by the time when we come out, it will be huge. We'll be wondering why I did so. And you will blame the market. Okay. And if you blame the market, what will we do to protect ourselves? We'll go and learn more about the market. We'll learn some more indicators or patterns or whatever. And again, our confidence will we will increase our confidence because now we have learned more. And again, now what will happen, since we are now confident, we'll go into the same state of euphoria, and then the boom and bust cycle will start continuing. Basically, we go up and down, up and down. Losses that result from self-sabotage. This is about the euphoric state. Now the author talks about the self-sabotage. The losses that result from self-sabotage can be just as damaging, but they are usually more subtle in nature, making errors like putting in a sell for a buy or vice versa, or indulging yourself in some distracting activity at the most inopportune time are typical examples of how traders make sure they don't win. So there are two things author is trying to tell. One is the euphoria. The euphoria you get when you are constantly winning. You go into an overconfident. That is the euphoria state. Self-sabotage is something like, we make some very self-suicidal mistakes. Like instead of clicking the buy, we click the sell, right? Or something like that. Or when something like the correct time we actually distract ourselves with something else, like we don't take the trade and we take a call, something like that. So what will happen, we will miss the opportunity to win. Okay, so the next line, why wouldn't someone want to win? It is really not a question of what someone wants, because I believe that all traders want to win. Yet there are often conflicts about winning. Sometimes these conflicts are so powerful that we find our behavior is in direct conflict with what we want. These conflicts could stem from religious upbringing, work ethics, or certain types of childhood trauma. If these conflicts exist, it means that your mental environment is not completely aligned with your goals. In other words, not all parts of you would argue for the same outcome. Therefore, you cannot assume that you have the capacity to give yourself an unlimited amount of money just because you have learned how to trade and the money is there for the taking. So here the author tells about the euphoria, and here the author tells about self-sabotage, suicide. Now the author is telling why you don't want to win. It's not like you have come here not to win. You want to win. We all want to win. But what happens is we are conflicted when we win, right? For example, we might have come from a poor family, or we don't know how to handle, or our religious upbringing might tell that having more money is wrong or something like that. So these kind of conflicts are there, internal conflicts, or you might have some childhood trauma which will prevent you from handling that money. So what is happening? All parts, now you don't feel that you want the winning. So as a result, you can't assume that you have the capacity to give yourself unlimited amount of money just because we have learned how to trade and the money is there for taking, because we are conflicting inside. Okay. A futures broker at one of the major brokerage firms once commented that when it comes to his customers, he lives by the motto that all commodity traders are terminal, and it is his job to keep them happy until they are gone. He said this facetiously, but there is a lot of truth to his statement. Obviously, if you lose more money than you make, you cannot survive. What is less obvious and one of the mysteries of being successful is that if you win, you may still be terminal. That is, if you win and you have not learned how to create a healthy balance between confidence and restraint, or you have not learned how to recognize and compensate for any potential you have to self-destruct, you will sooner or later lose. So here author says that, there is a sarcastic broker. He says that his job is to keep his customers happy until they are gone. Obviously, they leave only when they have lost all the money. So that is his job. And basically, what is happening is once we win, we don't exit trading. That is what the author is trying to tell. So today you made, that is what even we have been taught, right? Shiva sir has been taught. Like if you make 1%, be happy and go home. But we don't want to. We make some money and we immediately want to make more money. And so that is what we are telling. We won't leave the terminal. We don't put a kill switch. We don't tell that this is done enough for the day or something like that. So what will happen? The broker is happy, right? Because you are not gone out of the terminal. So his job is to keep you happy until you will not leave because you have not lost. So that is what the author is trying to tell. And you have to balance, you have to have the balance between confidence and restraint. I mean, you might be confident, but you have to restrain yourself. And else, sooner or later, we will lose. If you are among those in the boom and bust cycle, consider this. If you could redo every losing trade that was the result of an error or recklessness, how much money would you have now? Based on these recalculated results, what would your equity curve look like? I am sure many of you would fall into the category of consistent winners. Now think about how you responded to your losses when they occurred. Did you assume complete responsibility for them? Did you try to identify how you might change your perspective, attitude, or behavior? Or did you look into the market and wonder what you might learn about it to prevent such a thing from happening again? Obviously, the market has nothing to do with your potential for recklessness, nor does it have anything to do with the errors you make as a result of some internal conflict about deserving the money. So, author is asking us if we are in this particular cycle of boom and bust where we make money and then lose money, and we make money and then lose money. And have you went back and looked at every losing trade and what if we fix those things, how much money will we have now? So these are all the things the author is trying to tell. And if you calculate all these things, how would our equity curve look? Instead of going up and down, we will be in a consistent winner. We'll be keeping on going up, right? And now whenever we lost, the author asks us how we responded for our losses. And after the loss has happened, did we take complete responsibility for it? And did we see anything which will change our perspective, attitude, or behavior? Or did we even, basically others asking, did you do any introspection? Did you do something which will, if you looked into what has happened, and did you ask yourself, did you learn something which will prevent that from happening? And the author is also telling that you being reckless, the market has nothing to do with it. Okay, you can be reckless, as the author keeps telling, market does not care, right? The market has nothing to do with potential for recklessness or have anything to do with the errors you make as a result of our internal conflict. So recklessness is basically when we go into a euphoric state, we are overconfident and we become reckless. And self-sabotage is something which we are doing because of our conflicts. We do some mistakes. Probably one of the hardest concepts for traders to effectively assimilate is that the market does not create your attitude or state of mind. It simply acts as a mirror, reflecting what is inside back to you. If you are confident, it is not because the market is making you feel that way. It is because your beliefs and attitudes are aligned in a way that allows you to step forward into an experience, take responsibility for the outcome, and extract the insight that's been made available. Okay. So you maintain your confident state of mind simply because you are constantly learning. Conversely, if you are angry and afraid, it is because you believe to some degree that the market creates your outcomes, not the other way around. So the author is telling that one thing which every trader, we all find it difficult to digest, is that whatever the market is doing, it is actually reflecting our state of mind. It is basically acting like a mirror. So if we are losing, it's not the market is making us lose. The market is simply telling something about us. It is basically reflecting. we wanted to lose, we came there to lose that day or something like that. And if you are confident today, obviously it is not like we are confident. It is because we are our beliefs and attitudes, they're all aligned, and we are into an experience. When we are confident, we tell that, I'm confident to take this decision, and anything happens, I take responsibility. So that is what we call it as confidence, right? So you have come into that particular mode. So, and you take responsibility and you want to extract the insight that's been available. And you are confident because you are simply constantly learning. You just want to learn. That's why you're confident. But if you're angry and afraid, or if you're scared, you are angry and scared because you are thinking that the market is creating these things for you and not you. So here, this is where the mindset comes. I personally have had these kind of things. So author is now trying to give an explanation for this. Basically, sometimes I'll be afraid to trade because after the recent drawdown. So the author is telling that you are now believing that the market is creating, and it's not the other way around. No, but the reality is not. The market is simply acting as a mirror. Because I am scared, you feel the market is scary. And if you are confident, you feel you are responsible. So that is what author is trying to tell. Ultimately, the worst consequence of not taking responsibility is that it keeps you in a cycle of pain and dissatisfaction. Think about it for a moment. If you are not responsible for your results, then you can assume there is nothing for you to learn, and you can stay exactly as you are. You won't grow and you won't change. As a result, you will perceive events in exactly the same way, and therefore respond to them in the same way and get the same dissatisfying results. So the author is now telling that, see, if you don't take responsibility of these particular behaviors, we will simply be in the same state of pain and dissatisfaction, right? Because what will happen is, when we don't take responsibility, we simply tell, whatever we do anyhow, it's not my, it is not my responsibility. Anyhow, it's going to go. Let me do whatever I want. So I won't even learn. I won't even go and pursue certain information. I won't even go and retrospectively look into what exactly happened. So we keep making the same mistakes, and then we get the same dissatisfying results. Or you might also assume the solution to your problems is to gain more market knowledge. Okay, now this the second thing is coming. He's like, trying to tell what you will do. You will go and learn more about market. It is always virtuous to learn, but in this case, if you don't take responsibility for your attitudes and perspective, then you are learning something valuable for the wrong reasons that will cause you to use what you have learned in inappropriate ways. Without realizing it, you will be using your knowledge to avoid the possibility of taking risks. In the process, you end up creating the very things you are trying to avoid, keeping you in a cycle of pain and dissatisfaction. So there are two things. One is that, if you can not take responsibility. So as we saw, the entire chapter is about taking responsibility, right? So he's now trying to tell more about that. What will happen if you what will happen if you don't take responsibility? One is that, you will either not do anything and you will make the same mistakes, or you will learn a lot of things, but you have not taken the responsibility. So what will happen now? You have learned a lot of things. You will not apply whatever you have learned, because now we have the new knowledge. We know that, now it is risky. So what will happen? as a result, we will think that this might fail or something, and again we will go into the same cycle of pain and dissatisfaction. However, there is one tangible benefit to be gained from blaming the market for what you wanted and did not get. You can temporarily shield yourself from your own harsh self-criticism. I say temporarily because when you shift responsibility, you cut yourself from whatever you needed to learn from the experience. Remember, our definition of a winning attitude: a positive expectation of your efforts with an acceptance that whatever results you get are a perfect reflection of your level of development and what you need to learn to do better. Okay. So the author is here is telling it that we'll complete this also. If you shift the blame in order to block the painful feelings that result from beating yourself up, all you have done is put an infected band-aid on the wound. You may think you have solved the problem, but the problem is only going to resurface later, worse than before. It has to, simply because you have not learned anything that would cause you to make the kind of interpretations that would result in a more satisfying experience. So if you one advantage of blaming the market is that you will not be self-critical. Okay. So now the author says that winning attitude means even if you win or lose, you should get the same, your attitude should be the same. Okay. And even if you win, attitude should be you should learn to do better. If you lose, then also you should learn to do better. Okay. And whenever you win or lose, the result is actually telling what stage you are. Now, if we don't do this, basically, if we don't accept responsibility, what we are trying to do is whenever the painful things happen, we are trying to, avoid. So it's like, author is telling that you are trying to avoid the pain now, but in the future, it is going to come. It's like putting a band-aid, right? You are just covering it up. And because it's going to come again later, it's going to be worse than before also. Why? Because we have not learned anything. So now if we don't take responsibility, what will happen is we are not learning also. Now, as a result, what will happening? The experience itself will not be very satisfying. Okay. So, and it's going to, we don't know that the pain is going to be more this time, and we don't know how to handle that also. So did you ever wonder why leaving money on the table is often more painful than taking a loss? When we lose, there are a number of ways in which we could shift the blame to the market and not accept responsibility. But when we leave money on the table, we cannot blame the market. The market did not do anything but give us exactly what we wanted. But for whatever reason, we were not capable of acting on the opportunity appropriately. In other words, there is no way to rationalize the pain away. So leaving money on the table is basically where we exit earlier and the price goes still higher than where we exited. So for example, we might have exited after 20 points, but the price would have rallied up for another 100 points. Right now, the author is telling that you might lose 20-30 points, but if you win 20 points, but it went to 100 points, that pain will be more. Why? Because it's like, now we are telling that the same attitude which we have when we lost 20 points or 30 points, we blame the market, right? Because the market, we tell that the market has taken that money away from us. But when we got 20 points and the market went to 100 points, it's like we cannot blame the market also, because the market gave us the opportunity. We did not grab it, right? So you cannot blame the market. It's like the market didn't chuck you out, you chucked yourself out, right? So that is what author is telling in this paragraph. You are not responsible for what the market does or does not do, but you are responsible for everything else that results from your trading activities. You are responsible for what you have learned, as well as for everything you have not learned yet that is waiting to be discovered by you. You are basically, author is telling you are responsible for whether you have learned or not. Market does or does not it doesn't care how you act in the trading arena. That is what matters. The most efficient path to discovering what you need to be successful is to develop a winning attitude, because it is an inherently creative perspective. Not only does a winning attitude open you up to what you need to learn, it also produces the kind of mindset that is most conducive to discovering something no one else has experienced. So here the author is telling that you have to develop a winning attitude, because that is the creative. That is actually it is very creative. You also, when you are creative, when you are curious, you actually discover a lot of things as well, which not many would have experienced. Developing a winning attitude is the key to your success. The problem for many traders is that they either think they already have one when they don't, or they expect the market to develop the attitude for them by giving them winning trades. You are responsible for developing your own winning attitude. The market is not going to do it for you, and I want to be as emphatic as I can. No amount of market analysis will compensate for developing a winning attitude. If you lack one, understanding the markets will give you the edge you need to create some winning trades, but your edge won't make you a consistent winner if you don't have a winning attitude. So the author is telling that we have to develop this winning attitude, right? And what is the winning attitude? Is like, what is the winning attitude here? It is basically taking responsibility. That is what the author is mentioning as winning attitude. Because the entire chapter is about taking responsibility. And the problem which we have is that we all think that we already have a winning attitude, or we expect the market to make us develop this winning attitude by giving us more winning trades, right? We don't want to lose, we expect the market to lose. Okay, but this whole thing is not going to work, because the market will not do it. And the author is also telling that you can be an expert, can do a lot of analysis and all these things, but inside, if you don't come with this winning attitude, you will, nothing will be able to help you out. And basically, you can analyze, you can do technical analysis and all these things, and you might win some trades, but it will not make you a consistent winner. So developing a winning attitude is the key to success. Okay, certainly one could argue that some traders lose because they don't understand enough about the markets, and therefore they usually pick the wrong trades. As reasonable as this may sound, it has been my experience that traders with losing attitudes pick the wrong trades regardless of how much they know about the markets. In any case, the result is the same: they lose. On the other hand, traders with winning attitudes who know virtually nothing about the markets can pick winners, and if they know a lot about the markets, they can pick even more winners. If you want to change your experience of the markets from fearful to confident, if you want to change your results from an erratic equity curve to a steady rising one, the first step is to embrace the responsibility and stop expecting the market to give you anything or to do anything for you. Okay. If you resolve from this point forward to do it all yourself, the market can no longer be your opponent. If you stop fighting the market, which in effect means you stop fighting yourself, you'll be amazed at how quickly you will recognize exactly what you need to learn and how quickly you will learn it. Taking responsibility is a cornerstone of winning attitude. So it is like the author is telling about the winning attitude and how you need to have. You can be a market expert, but still, if you cannot be consistent. And some say that people lose because they don't understand the market, but the author is telling that if you don't have the winning attitude, you can know a lot about the market, but you will still lose. And if you have a winning attitude, you might know very less about the market and still be winner. And if you start knowing more with the winning attitude, you will be still more successful. So the author is finally telling that the first step is you have to embrace the responsibility, and you have to start telling to ourselves that we are responsible, not the market. and we should not fight the market, and we should learn. Once we have those things, we will start learning. And if you want to have the winning attitude, you have to take responsibility. So we'll quickly go through this chapter and a brief yeah, and then we will come back to the next chapter. So as we saw that taking responsibility, the author is trying to tell that, you know, it might sound simple, and but every fiber of our success, it has to understand that we have to take responsibility. So what are all the things which we need to? First, you have to shape your mental environment, right? So we have to, you know, the best traders think in unique ways, right? So we have to have a mental structure that should allow us to be fearful, to trade without fear, but also we should not be reckless, right? Trade without fear, but also keep them from becoming reckless. Okay, so one is trade without fear. So the author is now telling, if you have that particular mindset, that is the winning attitude, you will be able to, you know, trade without fear. You will be confident. You will click when it wants, when you feel that it should. If you're scared, you will not take a trade. Now that is one part of the equation. The other part is to know when to stop. So that is the so it is the that is what. So you can be, if you have that fearless attitude, what will happen? We'll go into euphoric state, and we will be reckless. So you need to develop that also. You should know when you should stop. And so because we want to be consistently winning. Okay, so if you don't develop these kind of things, we will keep falling into the trap of, you know, either we'll be scary or we will go reckless. So these are all the things. It is the attitudes about being wrong, losing money, and so if when these kind of attitudes, so we should never be wrong, and we should never lose money. These kind of attitudes, when we enter, that is what will prevent us from what is it called, being consistent. And when we are feeling good, we have the tendency to become reckless, and these are all the things which causes most losses, not the technical analysis, not the market knowledge. So here the author says about somebody who is you know, a mediocre trader, and somebody who is the who is an you know, very analyst wise, he is going to be phenomenal, and but he's now scared. So obviously you will choose the first one. So because the first one has the right attitude. Okay, and so here the author says about how the first and second trade has, you know, so here he says about the zone, right? And because when you're lack of fear, you know, you go into a carefree state of mind, which the athletes will call as going into a zone. So that is the trading in the zone, right? And so, but what will happen is, now when what will happen, you go into a, if you consistently go into the zone, you are basically not having that fear, right? And that is the winning. So basically you are a winning attitude allows them to easily move beyond the mistakes, and even if you fail, you will not criticize yourself. You basically athletes will keep going. But in case of trading, it is not the case. Sometimes when we make that losing trade, we immediately will go into a freezing mode. So that is what the author is trying to tell in this particular thing. They will have some few winning trades, and then we will actually go into a freeze mode. It's like, sometimes the market will scream that you have to buy now, but you won't do because you have gone into a frozen mode. Okay, so and then how you react to loss once a loss has happened, how you behave. And now we will start either some blaming the market. That is one thing. Again, we will not take the responsibility. And then finally, we keep making the same mistakes of not taking the responsibility. And today we saw about the winners losers, where our graph goes up and down. And that is the attitude which we have, because we go into a state of euphoria or self-sabotage. And euphoria comes because we are consistent. We might be winning we might be taking some few trades which are winning. And self-sabotage comes because of our upbringing. So at the end, the author finally tells that, you have to develop a winning attitude, and that is the key to success. And the winning attitude, for you to win, we have to take responsibility of our actions. We cannot blame the market, and instead of fighting the market, we have to embrace the market. That is when we start taking responsibility. So with this chapter ends today. I think we will pause here a little bit early only, and then maybe we'll start. We might. I would like you all to go and look back at the earlier videos, so that we can make notes. I also should go and read this little bit. It's not very hazy, but I'll go and watch the YouTube videos again maybe. And then maybe next we will see about consistency. There are a couple of things the author is telling: consistency and dynamics of perception. What is the market's perspective? The trader's edge, working with our beliefs, nature of beliefs, impact of beliefs, and thinking like a trader. So we'll go through all these things the subsequent days of reading. I think so far certain things are fantastic today, new learnings. So I think we are done for the day. We will continue this session tomorrow. If you guys have anything you want to share, feel free to. Else we'll end this call as usual and we'll continue tomorrow. Fine. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the participating. Appreciate. We'll continue this tomorrow. Thank you guys. Bye.